One. Welcome in, folks. It is Friday night. You know where you are. It is the Ultimate Schmoedown Show, and we are live here on the Ultimate Schmoedown Show YouTube channel. We are here to break down the play-in match for the teams tournament, and we're going to give our predictions for the upcoming teams tournament just so we can see how smart or stupid we can look on the internet. Joining me, as always, is Boggs and John. I already talked to Boggs today. John, how are you?
Oh, scandal. I'm doing well. Hopefully now all of you who didn't know where you were before, now you know you're not in the shopping mart. Get yourself home. Stop looking at this. Keep driving your car to your home. I'm excited to talk about this match. There's, of course, never a question of how dumb I will look on the internet, because truly it knows no bounds. I am like Superman in that regard, and only that regard, but I am excited to talk about a Schmoedown match with you two gentlemen.
And Boggs, I spoke to you earlier today, and we are live. You know what else is live, Boggs?
What?
Oh, I teed you up, bro. Like second grade T-ball. I teed you up. Brand new episode of We Have the High Ground.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Pop Culture Universe YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Where we reviewed the second episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian, also known as The Passenger. Boggs, how you liking that new show we do?
Yeah, it's excellent, man. So obviously Star Wars is my favorite franchise. I can break it down every day, all day, to be honest. But yeah, obviously the Mandalorian's out at the minute. Love breaking it down. Getting, not to stroke our ego, but we're getting really good views on that. Everyone who hasn't seen it or you're gonna watch this video later, please hop on over to the Pop Culture Universe YouTube channel. Give us a watch, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Thanks for everyone who's supporting the show. But yeah, it's going great, Colin, and pleasure to do it. Really,
it was a pleasure to have our lovely colleague on the PCU. Lovely Soul came on today, and she was down there in Miami giving us the breakdown. I mean, it was a good episode. Bog has a little bit of a not a hot take. That seems to be what the rest of the internet says, so I won't call it too original. But you know what is original? These names and these outfits that we had going back and forth in this team's play-in match. First of all, the Witching Power is one of the best names I've heard in terms of a translation, for just like a podcast. So most of the time we've had just like, hey, what's the name of your podcast? Okay, cool. That's your team name, like Superhero News with top 10, all that stuff. Changing it up to the Witching Power, I thought was pretty cool and a little different. Probably had a little bit of things to do with Collider. Probably didn't want to ruffle the feathers with Collider. I understand. Playing on the other side, we had what I think were the best costumes of the entire quarantine period that we've had so far. The Misfits going all out with the Mad Max Fury Road outfits. I thought that was fantastic, and they played right into it. John, were you feeling it?
Yeah, I was trying to think back for a second. I'm like, what other costumes have we seen? And for some reason, I can only think of
You're so awesome.
All I could think of was the guy from The Bachelorette who wore a straitjacket night 1, and that's a completely different franchise, so we don't even worry about that one. Yeah, I was definitely excited to see.
It's Tasha time.
We can talk about that later.
Can we close with some Bachelorette talk? That'd be lit. That'd be awesome.
Oh boy, I haven't.
It's in the Schmoedown universe now.
The views go up. Sean, producer Sean, shaking his watch. Views are gonna go up.
Was very excited to see these two teams debut. These were two teams that I thought were very interesting pair-ups. As far as new teams went, I thought both of these were solid picks from both managers. I really was feeling like this match could go either way. I think what wound up happening was like I had Witching Power on my bracket, but then when we did our little preview show, I think I had the Misfits winning. This was one I was really trying to go back and forth on. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. So that made me excited to get into this match, Colin.
I really had a hard time picking the match because at one point you just have experience on one side, which seems to all kind of be on the Eric Zipper front when it comes from the Misfits. Adam Witt has come on a lot more in the last 12 months, but Zipper is the longest tenured player on the screen at the time. So if you're going to talk about experience, it has to go that direction. Guy, I would never batch without you. I only batch with you. Other than that, it seems that the Witching Power had the brains. I felt like every single time I've seen these ladies do a podcast, they've been the most informed people in the room, and that usually tends to excuse me, to win out the day. Like usually the person who can, know the most stuff is the one that wins in these cases. And once we get into the latter parts of the match, that doesn't line up, but it seems that the Witching Power just they bottled it up, a little Felix Felicis, Felicis from Harry Potter, a little luck juice, because we don't see many times. We've seen a lot in the last couple weeks, some disappointing third rounds. And Boggs, I think we got to talk about the first round though.
Yeah, well, to be honest, going in, I thought it was a really 50-50, like really evenly matched teams going in. Not, like you said, Zipper the most experienced between all of them. So yeah, two new teams. But I was kind of most interested in Adam Witt, to be honest, because he's playing in, obviously, a Star Wars player, playing in teams, plus the promos that he done, plus managing. So just all around really good entertainment. I think Perry and Haley kind of complement each other with a similar knowledge, being horror, being new releases, that kind of stuff. And Zipper's coming in with the inner geekdom kind of general, that's his strength, right?
Reminds me of Viviani and Seibold. Kind of gives me some vibes of that, where they podcast together so much that they tend to, that the circle, they know a lot of the same stuff, which is good, but then the stuff that they don't know that the other person knows isn't quite as big as the shared knowledge, and that doesn't tend to make a complete team.
That's fair. I think going in. I loved kind of Witt's energy. He really stood out for me. Even his promo was really funny. He was. I knew he had an entertainment match going in. So that was good. So obviously round one finishing overall 14-13 to the Misfits. But yeah, I mean, super close. I mean, both teams playing really well. A couple of misses here and there, but yeah, they've not played regular. But yeah, overall quite a strong round one. I couldn't pick them at that point. It kind of depended on the second round spin, I thought. Because I saw a lot of strengths and weaknesses on there, but overall really solid round one, because just this match in general, because I didn't watch it live, I watched it like the next day, so Friday morning actually, but it didn't get too much traction online on Twitter, I think because of the whole election stuff. It's not got as much kind of popularity as normally kind of matches do, like on the evening of the match or the next day. So I wasn't too excited watching it, but like going in. But as soon as it was on and it was great round one, it was super close. I was like, wow, that was completely my mistake for kind of not being super excited for the match, because it was awesome round one.
You're fully muted, Colin. Just absolutely.
I do that. I start clicking on the keyboard. I do it for everybody's sake. I don't want to be clicky clacky. I try not to be clicky clacky because I got one of them keyboards. Just seemed like the match was like the vibes were carrying over. That usually doesn't happen. Like Eric's had a really hard time. I think being extremely comfortable on his own. And it was really nice to kind of see Adam and him kind of feed off one another, because it's just not something we've seen from him. Usually when we see Eric, he gets up, or he stays with with his opponent, and then usually something happens where he gets in his head and it kind of starts falling. But it seemed like Adam was good support the entire time. John, I think you saw the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I think one of the things that Eric Zipper has had to kind of deal with in this new era for him, and kind of the post-Winston Marshall days, is that while he's been able to get better and better and stronger as an individual player, especially with the help of Kaiser, a lot of his team matches have kind of been like more kind of last-minute thrown together type teams. Obviously, when he and Haley were playing together, that was, during Anarchy, when all teams were kind of tossed together. The Loose Cannons, him and Paul Oyama, that was kind of just like a, Kaiser going like, hey, I got you guys. Let's see what you can do right now. And I think they only ever got to play one, maybe two matches. Whereas now, as Kaiser was saying, this was a team that was formed since the draft. Like, these two have known they were going to be a squad for a minute. Adam Wood has apparently been super helpful in kind of keeping the faction going as a whole. So it did definitely seem like a better fit for Eric, just as far as someone that really has his back and knows him to the extent where they could really help him through. And yeah, as Tachyon was saying, Witt got 7 of 8 possible points.
That makes her a pretty good teammate, right?
So did Eric Zipper, and
Exactly.
so did Haley Fouch. The only person who didn't get 7 out of 8 was Perry. She got 6 out of 8, which is still very good, make no mistake. But it was the thing that led to that 1-point lead coming out of round 1. And again, just proved, like Boggs was saying, that this was a real 50-50 even-keeled match.
And this is one of those times where I think we saw players learn from their mistakes live. I don't think we see that happen too often. And the witching power spinning and then spinning away from what was it? Disaster movies. Yeah, disaster movies. And then unfortunately ending up on, what was that?
Kurt
Russell movies, which is just, some of those were also disasters, but for different reasons. You could see that they were definitely rattled by, like, if Coy does the thing that has kind of just become, Coy-esque, is he does the, well, are there more things that you dislike? And it's kind of just his game. But it seemed that they were, I feel like disaster movies, they would have done better in it than they would have thought. Because I feel like disaster movies only go back to a certain point. I mean, what's the oldest disaster movie ever? Twister? No, not Twister. It's probably some older disaster movies, but like, they're all more recent. I feel like they had a pretty good shot at it. And I guess they spun again. Sometimes you spin a bad category.
Am I right that it was disaster movies that Perry had spun against Mike, or was it like monster movies that she had gotten? That's what it was. Because I feel like that's in my mind where I kind of start to go a little bit. Because like, what constitutes a disaster?
You're gonna fall more into like the thriller, right? Or not thriller, but right, and which is I feel like
does it have to be like 2012? Does it have to be like San Andreas? Does that count? Rampage?
The Abyss? Does the Abyss count?
Like that? No. There are movies in like the 70s and 60s, like Towering Inferno.
Yeah.
Them kind of movies. I'm assuming they.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secrets of the Ooze.
King
Kong was a bit of a disaster.
Is King Kong?
People got turned into mutants.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of there's. Look, hey, you never know. But look, Leo, on it. Sean Connery question popping up days after he passed. Of course. That which we know that these matches are filmed probably weeks ago. But yeah, it's always just really. It's just one of those weird occurrences that happens to happen. And Leo again saying both women missing Tombstone, soul crushing. Yes, it's just a bad category for him, right? Like it's a big difference. And I don't think Kurt Russell's one of those ones that doesn't get hit very often. Like so when it comes to it, it could go either way because we don't know, how often or that they recycle questions. If they don't use questions, do those questions get thrown out? Do they put in new questions? Like we don't know the whole process or how it all goes. But it seemed like they just got caught off guard, but they did the best that they could, gave up a couple steal opportunities. So Boggs, round 2, I mean, it just feels like everyone kind of gave up a little more than they thought they were going to.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, also in round 1, they got a Mad Max question. The very first question, I was like, what?
That was really, really, really weird.
Yeah, I know.
Schmoedown.
Yeah, because obviously they do the promos after, right? So that was even more weird. And obviously they had the outfits before, so they must have known about that. But I thought, oh, okay, that was a bit weird. And then the next one was Sean Connery. I was like, what is going on here? It seemed a bit like a live match almost,
like a Schmoedown.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. But yeah, round 2, obviously, when they spun Kurt Russell, obviously they did gamble off disaster movies, and they spun probably their worst one. They even said themselves the worst one that they could get. But good job Coy was there because his kind of, like you're saying, his overall energy and his management style, to settle him down, don't worry about it, let's talk through it, etc. Just to kind of take a bit take the edge off a little bit, make it kind of a general, just relax them, not going in so tense. But yeah, they've obviously done their best. I believe they've only got 4 points, going multiple choice on most of them, or 3 points even. So leaving a lot of opportunities there to steal. I did think maybe the guys put this on the wheel as a strength. Witt being of a certain age, Kurt Russell in his prime in his 80s, 90s. I think maybe that fits with kind of Witt and maybe Zipper's wheelhouse a little bit. So I think I have a feeling that they put that on the wheel because, obviously they got a lot of steals there as well. So, obviously unlucky, you spun Kurt Russell completely out of their wheelhouse, but, they've done the best and they left some on the table, but, they stole some as well in the other go. So, the gamble didn't pay off, but didn't cost them overall.
I'm sure it was more just about the fact that Adam Witt and Eric Zipper are big fans of the Christmas Chronicles, everyone's favorite Kurt Russell movie.
They're not bad, I did see that last year actually. Like they're not the worst Christmas movies. Yeah, have you seen them?
Dude, he looks like Santa, bro. Yeah. Did you not see the thumbnail? That's one of the
Do you mean just that he's old and white?
Oh my god! Did you see the beard, bro? It takes a lot for the hair to work into. Listen. All right. My mom's watching this. She's gonna have a conniption. I was Santa Claus in our 3rd grade choir production of our Christmas show. It took a lot to get that hair to blend with the beard because they're not made by the same wig company. Like it's very hard for a Santa to go out and get like a full-on Santa. Usually the best Santas that you see probably have uber fake hair, but the beard is usually super natural. Those are the best Santas that you see. Somehow Kurt Russell looked like full-on Santa, yet somehow he was also like, for ladies out there, it was like Daddy Santa. He was like 6'2". He wasn't like 5'9", like ho 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 with a pot belly. He was kind of like.
Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta do that to us 5'9" kings?
Look, I'm also 5'9". I'm just saying.
Okay,
right? Okay, we're all the same here. But like it was looking good for himself. Let's get Kurt Russell.
Are we gonna rename the show the 5'9" Kings?
No, but I did want to make a podcast with this friend of mine who I met. We have the same birthday. I want to call it 6/23/94. That's our birthday. I've never met another person born on the exact same day as me. It's just like really weird. But if we both podcasted, I was like, names like that never come along. Kurt Russell show, also called 6/23/94. Back to the match. Round number 2. The Misfits. John, they just seem to want to press. They're a pressing team. They seem like they're a very aggressive. Like if they want to, some teams feel to be aggressive, they want to go first. Some want to be aggressive by getting in their opponent's head and letting them go first. They chose that route. Seemed to pay off coming out of round 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if Witching Power had gotten a stronger round 2, then maybe we would have seen it a little bit different, just not having that momentum. But yeah, I mean, when you're already coming off of like, the skin of your teeth, you guys are really feeling like you're meshing, and then you come off and you just hear the fact that you get 4 steal opportunities, you're able to get those all 4 points possible on the board before you even answer a question. Like, yeah, that's just that instilled confidence, sort of like the polar opposite of what you're saying about how sometimes Eric Zipper can kind of get into his head a little bit, and that can sometimes keep him from reaching that next step. In this case, it was the opposite of, he was really kind of set up for that round 2 to feel as confident as he could be, and that definitely paid off as they only missed 2 multiple choice questions. That's half the misses that Witching Power had, and then only 1 steal from the Witching Power on the Maleficent question. I'll say once I heard the multiple choice options, I knew what the Willy Wonka director was, and that's exclusively because of Letterboxd.com. Big fan of Letterboxd. We love that website, but 24-17, that's a heck of a score to come out of round 2 on. Definitely, as Witching Power said themselves, they didn't have a good round 2. They just didn't do good. Misfits did very well, but I mean, again, I'm a big both sides are in the Schmoedown, not in all things. Not all the time do you have to give equal credence to 2 parties, but in this match, I did want to give equal credence because definitely it's 2 new teams. We're seeing how they mesh how they come together, and even out of a round 2 that had a very dominant performance by one team, the match still wasn't over, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. And I do just have one thing to say, and this kind of goes back to what Tachyon was saying at the beginning with Wit, and specifically pointing out Wit. I feel like he kind of ran the discussion with
Played
their,
great,
you know,
I thought.
he played fantastically. It really seemed like I wouldn't say checked down, but he was checking down to just for like reaffirmation to Zip. It was kind of like, yo, I know these. You think this is it? And he's like, yeah. It kind of felt like Zip didn't even have time to even think about it. And Adam just kind of was like, hey, it's this one, right? And he's like, yes. and except for the one time on the multiple choice, they were right. He was kind of on it. And I thought it was really funny how, oh my gosh, how Kaiser goes, I hate this category. And then Adam's like, I love this category.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of cuts to the fact that Adam has been able to kind of come into his own a little bit more generally due to the fact that when he was part of the Movie Guys, great team, but especially because of what Paul Preston was also accomplishing in singles at that time, that team did kind of feel more dominated by Paul Preston. So Adam didn't necessarily kind of get that shot to be as involved necessarily.
He's a louder player, especially in the studio setting. Paul is definitely more of a studio player, even though we definitely saw from his horror free-for-all performance that he, you know, can just hold his own knowledge-wise with anyone.
Absolutely. But now Adam is in a position as well where as kind of the assistant coach, he's also just been doing a lot more of the legwork on learning strategy, on trying to figure things out. And maybe it hasn't worked out super well for the dungeon as a whole, but it does seem like it has paid off with Adam. And again, that kind of gets to the thing that I talk about sometimes where it's clear that like some managers, they do have their favorites. They do have the folks that, whether it be because they just try and talk to them more, or whether it's just because they have like just similar enough energy because they live in the same time zones and are just able to kind of like, you know, vibe a little bit easier, that Adam and Kaiser is a match that works very well.
I'd really love to see like that chemistry is very authentic, and you don't like, it's very, we haven't seen a lot of like Adam and Eric didn't know each other. I don't think they really collaborated much before they were put together on this team. So most of the success that we've seen from teams this year have been, you know, formed along the way. This wasn't something that was like built up in promos. This was a very organic Kaiser creation. This was a Kaiser original. And if all's been shown to be true, is that Adam is not to be trifled with. And like we were saying earlier, our co-host Soul over here saying both Zip and Wit are underrated players. And it's true. And I think that they've both just been kind of let down in the moment. The moment has kind of let it slip away for a couple, at least Eric in a couple moments, and Adam just in some kind of odd matchups with Paul sometimes in those teams matchups back in the studio, just didn't seem to, you know, push them all the way. But a 7-point lead going into round 2 is like, if you're a Zipper, this is everything you've ever like wanted. This is like, this match is going perfectly. Everything's going fine. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong here at all. Boggs, I feel like I've let that run its course. Something went very wrong.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I just want to double down on what you're saying about Wit, because, you know, like I said at the start, you know, he's a Star Wars player. He's now playing in teams. He's like an assistant manager, a great personality. He's got the promo. He's got great energy, and he can play. That was the best thing I was happy for. And the whole vibe of them guys were like in round 1 and 2. It was like final exam. Watching them play, I thought the similarities were here with them, and I was super impressed with how they played. But yeah, I think the Witching Power girls they just kept close enough. You know, they managed to obviously get that steal, which kept them in it, and you know, they've come back. They've come back in round 3. Obviously hitting their 2, 3, and 5. Which, yeah, I mean, seemed relatively, straightforward. They were confident in getting them all, and they did. So the co-op. So when you're that behind, make the other team or other player hit their 5, and that's exactly what they've done. And it was up to the boys to try and claw it back, but it didn't work out. Like you're saying, I mean, I personally thought it was done. I thought, okay, they'll get the 2 and the 3, and that's it. It'll be done because they were playing that well, particularly Adam Witt, and then he went up first with the 2-pointer, and he's had that easy miss, and I thought, oh. And then Zipper's gone his 3, and then I thought, and then for the 5 is it's just the little bit hard 3 and 5. But I mean they've not hit any, and they've ended up getting TKO'd surprisingly. So a bit of a crazy round 3, but good twist and turn. I mean, thoroughly entertaining match, and I enjoyed it. I mean, well done to the girls, but I mean overall, I mean I'm kind of most impressed with Adam Witt coming out of it. The girls smashed it. They've done great, and obviously up against Founding Fathers now.
There's a saying in a movie about golf. It's you drive for show and you putt for dough. So if your drive is your round 1, that's nice. But can you finish in round 3 and put the ball in the hole? And he's like it was just full on. Like how often? Like when's the last time we saw a 7-point comeback and you go 2-3-5 and they missed the 2-3-5? Like that's so unheard of. So that's one thing. Like, if Adam, Adam Zip, if anyone sends this over to them, this was not like y'all got spanked over here. Like this is not like some horrible crushing defeat that the TKO will, the points will tell you that, and people will go on a show and say, well, they got TKO'd, and that's is what it is. That was a hard fought match. That was knowledge shown on both sides. And sometimes you just get like the O'Shea Jackson 50 Cent crime question. That's a hard question. That is a 5-pointer. Arguably, I think the 3-pointer that the Witching Power had was one of the best 3-pointers in terms of like knowledge of a movie, things you should know about a movie. Seemed appropriate, being what's the actor that played the fiance in the Titanic. See, that's super appropriate. We've seen some stuff that seems like super out of place, but then the 5-pointer for Witching Power. If you're like maybe Paul Oyama's age, just a couple years younger than us, like you might not know The Wedding Singer. Like that might be the Adam Sandler movie you didn't watch as a kid. Like you'd be like, oh, Big Daddy and movies like that. Like The Wedding Singer definitely was a movie that I had to see on my own. Like my parents didn't sit me down and show me The Wedding Singer. So it's like, I could definitely see how that would be a 5-point question. But then for it just to be Billy Idol, they're like, oh, Billy Idol. That's kind of a little demoralizing.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, it depends. I mean, both teams had a bad round. And it is, again, sort of that thing of like, if you're able to get the kind of questions that play to your strengths. Obviously, Den of Thieves, that's an absolute tough one because that's not necessarily in anyone's strengths, like just because it's one of those movies where it's like it's now too old to be considered a new release, but it is sort of recent, but we don't necessarily have like a more kind of set in stone 2010s category yet, really. It's a lot of more just kind of like, still in more like the 2012, 2014 area. I feel like I probably would have just guessed like Hurricane Heist for that one because that one was difficult.
Perry knew it. Of course, Perry knew it. She was a host on Movie Talk, probably. No, not 2014.
As soon as they gave the answer, she's like, she started to like celebrate before Christians kind of announced the winner. So I was like,
yeah, well, and good job on Zipper for guessing the
2018 movie. It was
that
a
was obviously
movie.
Sure. Lovebirds was obviously the movie that Issa did with the Kumail, which was, I enjoyed it. But again, the photograph, that's kind of one of those things where it's just like, were you, scrolling Twitter during the month that movie was heavily marketed? Maybe you weren't. Maybe Eric had real life things that he was paying more attention to, in which case, good on you. Quit the doom scrolling, please.
Okay, so I would really like to point out why that is a good 5-pointer. Like I just pulled up the page. Just for the movie. It stars Gerard Butler. That is where that becomes a 5-point question, is within the clues. They gave you the B, C, and F ranked cast members on the list. Like they didn't label the stars. I think we got to take a moment and talk about how they're assembling the questions and just like that's a really well put together question because there are easier ways to ask that question, but they went out of their way to not make it easy because I mean, if you just say Gerard Butler, that obviously narrows it down.
Geostorm.
Right, of course. Or oh, nope, see, Geostorm's the only one I know. That's the only Gerard Butler movie I've ever seen in my life.
But they've also said
it's really good.
They've also said recent as well in the question. So they said which recent movie. So that adds a little bit of bit of spice on top of it. So
yeah, it's like I was saying earlier. It's like
what does that
in
mean?
between new releases and then like 2010s, where it does kind of like throw you for enough of a baby loop, let's say. Yeah. I knew it wasn't Lovebird because it came out on Netflix. Also a fair point, Samuel. Also a fair point.
Yeah, it's got just little clues. There's just little clues, and like
that's why it couldn't be Christmas Chronicles either. See.
You gotta watch it this Christmas, John. You gotta watch it this Christmas because it's Kurt Russell as Santa. He's actually funny. Like
honestly, I'm probably gonna watch Christmas Prince first, just because I'm a fan of Rose McIver.
Honestly, I'm probably just gonna watch that tonight because Christmas started on the 1st here in the South. I don't know if it's happened anywhere else, but the jokes have been that the day that Halloween is over, Christmas begins. So I will call my mom out. She did put up her Christmas tree, but then she decorated it in all Halloween stuff.
Aw, that's fun.
Yeah, so she kind of made it a nice a spooky tree, which I thought was nice and different. You know, she did like the spooky tassels and she put like webbing over it with the little spiders and stuff. No, she's crushing. She always does great with the decorations.
Nice.
Well, yeah. And so, guys, the Witching Power come out on top by a score of 27-24. I mean, I think if you would have told Perry that before the match, she'd have called you a liar. Just because, like, those points, once you start getting up in almost to 30, you're like, we're really good here. Like, there's something about getting up in those top 20s where you just feel like you can beat anyone. And you're going to need that energy going up into the next match, which we can break into our discussion. Founding Fathers. Matt, can you nail a transition? Still not getting over Founding Fathers, but nailing the transition that is their next opponent. Man, that's just unfortunate, Bugs.
Yeah, well, this is the we've seen that where they're playing people, that's how seeding works, right? So
you mean Adam Collins?
Yeah, well, there you go. It doesn't always go the way you think, but
and Ace.
Yeah, exactly. So the playing matches play against the the higher ranked opponents, and they're coming off a loss at the end of the day, Founding Fathers. So is it a good time to play them? Maybe, or it's going to be the best time that you possibly can play them, right? Roku's coming off a couple of defeats. In fact, 3, right? Teams on obviously 2 singles matches. So, good time to play him. Obviously, Roka's, moved. He's been busy moving to San Diego and stuff. So obviously,
Dan's moved to Japan. I thought you were about to say he's moving to Japan. Was kind of I thought.
I was going to say out of the country actually. And obviously, Dan's moved
basically
to Arkansas,
LA to San Diego, right, guys? LA to San Diego, basically a different country, totally different.
It's like 2.5 hours, right?
If you move from Los Angeles,
is there a 2.5 hour drive on the island of Britain? How long does it take to get from top to bottom?
Oh, like London to like Edinburgh is like 8 hours. So yeah, that's just like
the whole country.
A bit above Scotland. Oh no, that's like the lower part of Scotland. So the top, probably like 12 hours, I'd say. Drive.
That's not bad. You could do the whole thing in a day.
It's doable. Yeah, it's doable. Yeah. But yeah, like the Founding Fathers, they might be distracted, is my point. Maybe they're not studying as much as they have done previously. Maybe thinking against a playing match, they wouldn't need to study as hard. Maybe. I don't know. I'm making some assumptions.
I don't know. Dan's been doing that movie podcast. He's been back in his game. He's kind of been settling in, and he's kind of all in on the schmoes, right?
Of course. I mean, we're talking about the 2 best players of all time. So, I mean, yeah, they probably are studying. But, I'm trying to give a bit of hope. But yeah, wish them guys all the best, or them girls all the best. But yeah, I mean, they've got to play absolutely outstanding, nearly perfect, and they got to have the Founding Fathers got to have a bad match as well, which can happen. But yeah, I wish them all the best there. But it was a good comeback. I'm not sure if they'll win against Final.
When's the last time we saw either one of these guys play a 3-rounder?
What a team's match.
John, it would have been a minute. Aside from a singles, he definitely would have played a singles 3-rounder to get in this last couple months. But in a team situation, it's been a long time. So I would just like to point out, as it's not too different, it's not the same. So there's less opportunities to come back. If you're the witching power, you have to stay with these guys. This is like, there's the only opportunity that what seems to be any form of downside for these players, if you're the founding fathers, is that the 3rd round and the betting round, and then the new, just call it the family feud round, are all just out of your hands. Like, it's Mike Wazowski. She's out of our hands. Like, it's all like, there's nothing you can do about it. You have so much more control in a 3-rounder. Everything is in your control. Nothing can come out of the blue. And it's just going to be hard to beat those guys in 3 rounds. You need that 4th round. You need that 3rd round. You need more opportunities. And look, Roka's a friend. You need more opportunities to get in Roka's head. That's what you need. The less time you have for Roka to mess up, the more likely Roka is to stomp you into the ground. And especially if Dan Murrell comes to play. And if Roka can get over, and I'm going to say it, if Roka can get over 6.5 points in the 1st round, there's no way they lose that match. There's no way they lose any match, because I don't think Dan might get 7 points once in this entire tournament. I think we're going to see Dan Murrell is just going to, because there's something about, it's different when you get into, I don't think Dan's been privy to this level of questioning for a very long time. Dan has been in championship situations for the last 18 months. It seems like the level of questioning is the best of the best. The 1st round of a tournament is not the same level of questioning you are going to receive when you are playing Ben Bateman for the Schmoedown title in round 1. It's just not the same. So you're going to see some high volume round 1s coming out of the founding fathers, and players and teams, no matter who you are just going to have to keep up.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I mean, I think, the girls have to keep up in round 1, because in round 2, obviously they have got strengths, and they have to kind of play for that, but they have to keep pace in round 1. They have to have good round 1s, because like what you're saying, you can assume Roka and Mora will. So going in round 2, as they've shown over the years, they've got multiple strengths, across the whole wheel. Well, the girls have got elite strengths, and they have to try and hit them.
But their elite strengths are their like minor strengths. If you hit horror, they're not going to miss one. But if you hit new releases and you miss an actor, Dan Murrell will scoop that stuff up like 37 flavors or whatever at Baskin Robbins. He'll scoop it up and hit with a putback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, they have to play absolutely outstanding, and the Final Fathers have to have a horrible match for them to lose. That's what I think anyway. I mean, whether it come true or not, we'll see.
Well, I mean, that's the first match. We got Witching Power, and then that'll probably be one of the later matches of round 1, just because they had, just played a little more recently. So looking at the schedule, the first round that we have coming up next week, Monday, Tuesday for patrons, Thursday for everybody else, is going to be the Odd Couple versus Category 9. That's going to be Jeff and the Android, Mark Andraco, going up against Jader and Brendan. So, John, any thoughts on that match?
Yeah, the Odd Couple, man.
Yeah, I mean
that's what's gonna happen. I mean,
unless Jader's the next Adam, that's the only thing, right? It's just got to be.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely Jader's good. Jader had a solid showing across the board in the singles tournament. It was not Adam Collins level. He did get, he didn't win the singles tournament like Adam Collins did. Jader is a solid, still a younger player who's definitely come more and more into his own. Brandon Hanna has done well in Inner Geekdom. Obviously, a lot of the recent chatter about him has been his heel antics and how much we all think he does or does not pull them off well. He is a solid Inner Geekdom player, but you're going up against one of the strongest teams currently playing, or, a team that has held the belts, a team that has been in belt contention for quite some time, and Jeff Snyder, who's just had the strongest showing in the singles division that he's maybe ever had. Like, it's just, and it's a new team, and even if they're both playing as well as they've ever possibly played, they just don't necessarily have the chemistry that Odd Couple has. So it's Odd Couple, right? I don't know why I'm defending it this much. I don't think anyone here is disagreeing with me. Oh, you're fully muted again, my bud. My boy, dear sweet boy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll say. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I'm definitely going Odd Couple. So, I mean, it for me, I agree with Logan, Leo Logan there in the chat there. That it does. I mean, how close the match will be depends on Brandon Hanna, I think. We don't know how good he is with singles. But to be fair, I mean, we have seen weaknesses with the Odd Couple in comic book Inner Geekdom style questions. So I think it's another case of they have to play outstanding and the Odd Couple have to play basically horrible to lose that match.
Sam's exactly right. And Draco was a heavy liability in that last match versus Who's the Boss. So gonna have to.
He was another. I remembered after last week's show in the horror free for all, he was probably my biggest letdown. I thought in terms of we spoke about underperforming players and we didn't mention him, but he was definitely one. Because he's over the years been pretty consistent with horror and one of his strengths. And he went out round in kind of the first round that he came in. So he needs a big performance. Didn't have a big singles run. So he needs to kind of, obviously Jeff has, he needs to step back up to Jeff's level. We know he can, obviously former champion. I look forward to seeing these guys play because, big expectations for the Odd Couple this tournament.
Well, I think they were saying too that if they don't go on like a run necessarily in this tournament, that might be it for the Odd Couple as well, which I don't necessarily mind just because, it is always nice to kind of shake up the team situation. That's how you can sometimes get some of the best newer teams. Obviously, Founding Fathers didn't come about until Anarchy, which is true of a lot of other teams, including the Odd Couple, including Corruption themselves. So
I'd also say that Mark does not particularly fit the rock stars vibe of kind of F you, we're better than you, or at least he just doesn't buy into it fully. So, I mean, yeah, it would be nice to kind of see Jeff and maybe we saw a return of Little Evil.
I knew that was coming.
In the horror bridge. Come on!
Yeah, He doesn't want to see that. Yeah, I'd absolutely love it.
It's the best. They're the best. They're the most entertaining team of all time, besides a little top 10 Boombaye, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Real rejects.
They're not a lot of dudes that are as dedicated as them. And, of course, the Wolves of Steel were obviously the best. Best.
I used to like Team Track as well. For entertainment. I did.
You just liked it because they came in the Star Trek uniform.
That was fine.
And sat down in the chair, and then he would sit down in the chair. Every time I could tell. Every time, Bob.
Listen, if you want to talk, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and I know very few people will disagree, but if you're looking for top-tier entertainment value Schmoedown matches, where maybe the knowledge isn't as there as some other matches, but entertainment, you can't go wrong with the Wildberries versus Only Stupid Answers. And I'm just going to say that. As one of the matches that I love to rewatch. Just going to put that out there.
Yeah, Wildberries had some good wins, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of entertainment, live matches and stuff, yeah. I mean,
listen, if you watched Ben Bateman versus Scott Mance and you skipped over Funhouse versus Kind of Funny, you're a fool. You're a fool and a buffoon. And I'll come to your home and tell you that to your face.
Watch out.
I'll wave a treat in front of your dog's face and then eat it myself.
Ooh, yikes.
Make your dog feel bad. How about that?
Well, then, Odd Couple.
Say, what was the next match?
Tom and Paul versus Final Exam, and that is dropping on Friday. So, Cam, Paul, better show up with your best games. Paul Preston looked really good. You know who didn't look good in that horror free-for-all, John?
Me.
Paul Oyama.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you put players into those more hyper specific kind of categories, it is going to be kind of interesting to see. Because I wouldn't have necessarily said that horror was a strength of either Paul or Lon, who was also in that horror free for all as well. I'm just going to take a quick second to read Leo Logan's comment here. What's up, Leo? Final exam. If Tom and Paul lose, they go 0-2, making them the biggest disappointing team of the year. Not to mention Preston could go 0-3, giving him a huge sophomore slump. That's fair. I mean, certainly,
feel like final exam would be the most disappointing team of the year if they lose. So I feel like it could go either way.
Not after they had a path to the titles.
And they've had some good wins. They played well,
but
and then they lost to the team that won the belts. Like, that's fair. That's a fair loss.
Okay, that's fine. But the performance that they put on was not indicative of the two that they had prior leading up to that match. That was the letdown that I saw, because I was very hyped on the Paul train throughout the summer, and then throughout the fall. It was Paul season. It was Chance and Paul season over here at the Colin Morris show, and we bought heavy stock in them. I still have my stock in Paul Oyama, but I did sell some stock after the performance going up against Shazam, because it went against everything that I thought was right going into this digital season, which was was backing up my claims of the experienced team won out the day, and they went up against a cold as hell Shazam team and got whooped. But granted, that's the team that went on to.
Boggs, I'm gonna let you speak, because you're right.
I don't know. It
was a mental whoop. It felt like a mental whoop.
They lost in their 5-pointer, right?
It felt like a mental whoop. It felt like a mental whooping, because then then they were done. They were in the mainstream for so long. We were talking about them every week, and then now it seems like is the first time we've talked about them since the loss.
Well, that's what happens when you lose.
Well, I understand, right? But it's very hard for a team to have that much clout and that much success, and then for it to drop off that heavy, and then for Paul to show up like I haven't seen him in a year at the horror free for all. It's kind of how Paul felt. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Paul Oyama."
I don't know about all that. I don't know.
Well, don't forget after just to kind of understand what you're saying, Colin, because after that loss, I mean, I thought it was a close match. I mean, I understand you had a lot invested in Oyama, but obviously Lon and Paul both lost the single matches as well, and then he's lost in the horror free for all. So I understand a bit of disappointment there, but I thought they were in terms of the digital matches, they were one of the better kind of better teams, basically. It's, especially how they vibed, just especially kind of Paul, how he was looking. So I wouldn't say they were the kind of biggest disappointments. I agree with Leo there, definitely, that I think Paul Preston and Tom would be, if they're 0-2 against two kind of, who haven't played for a title, non-team champions there, I would be a bit disappointed in them there. And I'm definitely going to final exam how they played before Paul. I'm definitely going Paul and Lon to win that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely talk a lot about kind of energy. We were talking about it earlier with why we think that Kaiser, Adam Witt, and Eric Zipper make such a fine trio. It's because that energy matches. I don't necessarily know that Paul Preston and Tom have that kind of same vibe. One of the things that I do attribute to a lot of Tom's success was that he was playing with the Looney Bin and Video Drew, who is like one of his just real life friends. Which always helps. I think Paul and Tom definitely have the knowledge where, if they've been able to kind of work out the kinks in their team play, then they could really skyrocket. For me, the criticism I would have a final exam is not they, just kind of whiffed it and that they, just bombed in their final match. To me, it's more just looking at their history. It's that they have a struggle when it comes to the true elites of the game. And that's something that you see across the board with a lot of folks, where sometimes they are really good, B-tier competitors, but they just can't quite cross over into that A-tier. It's something that we see happen a lot of times, where it's there are these players that are able to kind of go on little mini runs, but then when you go up against a Bibiani, then you take a loss. So I think that, because Tom and Paul are two good players that are currently 0-1 and haven't had necessarily as strong seasons, that I do overall lean towards Final Exam when it comes to this match. But honestly, I feel like this match is going to be as close as the one that we just got with Witching Power and the Misfits. Like, it's really going to be interesting to see. And it is going to, honestly, I think, kind of just come down to day of what they wind up spinning.
I think that's one of the things I've been most impressed with is we really don't know what is up with Tom. Like, you can never tell. Does he just not know? Is the character a bit? But no, I think the character's not, he does it fine. And I think Paul and him have a good rapport outside of this to where they know each other well enough. And I hope Paul's watched Tom's matches and knows that he's not, just some schmuck that he's been thrown with over the last couple matches. But Soul saying, hoping for a Looney Bin reunion next year. Wouldn't that be something? Friend of the show, Video Drew. What do you think about that? But then also a movie guys reunion. That would be interesting.
Especially I feel like the Kaiser Paul Preston energy. That's another one where I feel like the vibe would come very easily. Just very older bro energy.
They speak the same language.
Yeah.
In and out.
Speaking of Looney Bin, good luck with shout out to Video Drew for her. I think she's on the undercard of the pay-per-view next week, live pay-per-view. So good luck with that. Just thought I'll shout her out there.
Wait, so we should preview that. Because that's because then
we're gonna do it before, right?
The week after that, and then we have Jen Kemp versus Video Drew going up at 8 p.m. Eastern. That means next week, 7 o'clock, same time, same place. You will find us, the Ultimate Schmoedown Show, live right here as your official pregame show for the Schmoedown Throwdown, with the undercard being Jen Kemp versus Video Drew. Going to be a spectacular undercard, with the main event being the loser goes home, Elliott Dewberry versus Josh Mccooga. The Wild Berries are splitting off, and we'll find out that there's only room for one berry in this town, and one is sour and has to go home. But before that, we're going to have an undercard match. And I think that you got your tissues ready.
Sorry,
I'm ready.
John's getting emotional, so yeah.
I might get emotional too. They're my guys. But I would really love to see Video Drew come out and just be a presence, because she provides an aura when she plays that is ready for some success to follow, and I can't wait. Like, it's just there. It's palpable. I can taste it. John, do you think she's going to turn around or box? Anyway?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hope so. I really hope so, because again, I think Leo Logan's on fire today. I'm pretty much agreeing with everything he's saying. But yeah, I don't want it to be 0-3, but because I like Jen Kemp. I've seen her obviously in a Geekdom playing match, I believe or in the first round in a Geekdom tournament, she played against Alex Damon. I thought she played great. So yeah, she just missed out there. If she, I know I've seen her about on a few kind of people's Patreon, Patreon and things like that. So I know she kind of big into movies. She's played fan league matches and things like that. So she's not, to be slept on. So, but yeah, obviously Video Drew's a lot more experience Schmoedown wise. So I'm hoping she comes through there. But Jen Kemp, I've been watching her kind of here and there, so she can definitely play. So she better watch out.
I'm personally leaning towards Video Drew. I think it's again one of those things where she's I feel like she's personally kind of just on the rise for her Eric Zipper style come up. You know what I mean? Because she is someone that is a presence in this league that does really try in her matches, and very rarely recently I feel like has gotten whooped or anything. No, she's having close matches. Like that Mark Riley match, that really kind of came down to it. I think that Jen Kemp, being someone that is still a new enough presence to the league and wasn't able to kind of have that rock star immediate wave that folks like Kevin Smets and Adam Collins have had, I do think that this is going to be one of those. And again, I think looking at management, I've been very hard on Sam Levine throughout the season, and I'm going to continue to be. I don't think Sam is going to help out Jen Kemp as much as Kaiser is going to help Video Drew, I don't think it's going to happen, and that is something that we've seen very clearly, visibly matter. And obviously, Kaiser has not had the best season either, and I think at this point is now the bottom tier faction behind Usual Suspects. But unless Jen Kemp legally changes her name to Ethan Irwin, I just don't think Sam's going to be putting in the hours. And I do think that Video Drew having the passion, having like the experience and getting ready for her moment with a manager like Kaiser, I think in my mind anyway, I'm doing the math and the math is coming out Video Drew.
Yeah, I just got to feel that the energy follows that. I mean, she's got to know that there are a lot of us that are sitting here like really rooting for her. And I know that like just, we want to see her
fan
succeed.
favorite, right?
Easily a fan favorite. And it's just got to be, it's coming. So it's coming. I feel it's really hard to be
she's due a win. Yeah, I think she's earned it. That
she's due.
The personality she's put in, what she put on all last season, this season she's been good. Hopefully it comes through next weekend. And then for the main event, I mean, I actually, I can't pick it. Maybe I'll see kind of what they're saying in the week.
It, bro. Elliott is gonna win.
No, I mean, I've been.
Elliott's either gonna win 17-9 or Mccooga's gonna win 20-19.
Yeah, exactly. So how can I pick that? Right, you've literally picked two ends of the scale there. I don't know.
How can you not call it? It's going to be one of the two of them winning. What don't you understand, Boggs?
Yeah,
it's easy to call as long as you know that it's going to be one of the two.
I can't believe I
50-50,
just said that because I just listened to some Looney Tune on the news like an hour ago. Be like, pretty much said the same thing that I said about votes in America. So now I just feel like a total hypocrite.
Okay,
No,
so brains fried. But I think Elliott maybe over general knowledge has more, but Mccooga has
Elliott is actively covering movies.
Yeah,
Elliott is actively following the movie team. Josh is literally eating old food for a living and having a baby.
Yeah, but he can still pull out a 5-pointer, if he needs to. Well, he has done anyway. He does has that little bit Stacey Howard X Factor, Andrew Guy X Factor about him, where he can pull out random stuff.
What are you talking about?
Exactly,
the original X Factor.
Yeah, so even if he's behind, he can come from behind to win. So I wouldn't completely write him off. I mean, I'd put Elliott the favorite there, but I can't sleep on Mccooga because he proved me wrong too many times over the years. So good luck to them.
No, X Factor, isn't that his son? No, that's Cable. No, that's Cable's their son. Cable.
X Factor, the team was started, and it was just the X-Men, but it was one of those things where it's like, oh, it's the original X-Men. Now it's during a time where there's also X-Men. No one cares. Except us. So I'll stop.
Soul coming in saying, Colin, I got to stop watching the news. Look, all there is to watch now is the news. And then having Dewberry, but you can't count out the king of guesses. And that is Josh Mccooga. He's basically the Willy Wonka of making us all look dumb. So I was just like making you be like, oh, really? I saw a lot of Willy Wonkas this year on Instagram, by the way. I feel like the Tim Burton Willy Wonka costume came back. And I don't know if it was just like there was a sale on the white glasses that he wears. And so it's just like top hat, white glasses.
I mean, I guess I'm bald, so I could have gone out for Halloween as one of Roald Dahl's The Witches. But I also didn't go out because I'm not trying to die. Don't go outside.
Yeah, I definitely just like...
Don't go outside, how about that?
Yeah, Boggs literally can't
I'll eat treats in front of your dog. I'll eat food that is not designed for human immune systems, but I'll do it.
I was listening to podcasts this week of people like telling their stories of Saturday night and Halloween, and we were like, yeah, I went down and got me some PVC pipe from the Ace Hardware, and I just put that candy right on down that tube, but you couldn't put anything bigger than a mini Reese's cup or else it gets stuck in there and ain't nothing going down. And you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. You would have had to like buy certain candy, but man, Halloween in a pandemic. What are you going to do? Well, maybe don't eat candy or go outside. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Halloween's done now. Who cares? Where were we in the teams? We didn't do deception against Lethal Weapon?
No, but I think, I think we could probably talk about them next week if we do.
Yeah.
The
We've
week
got a
after.
lovely.
Because it's the week after. Because it's the week after. We've done the whole week. So just to recap, we got Odd Couple versus Category 9. That's available for everyone on Thursday. Patrons Monday, Tuesday. Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So there will be spoilers in our episode for Tom and Paul and Final Exam. That episode will be released before our episode. So John will have to pull some McReary time turner magic and watch that match extremely fast before our episode. And then going live before the Schmoedown Throwdown with the undercard of Jen Kemp, Video Drew, and then the Wild Berries loser goes home, Elliott Dewberry versus Josh Mccooga. It's just a lot of layers to that match now. Now I'm looking at swag. Now I'm looking at KO. That's not a. I mean, look. Okay, Bugs. Let's take a step back for a second.
Okay.
I said 2 options, right? One is KO walking away with 4 points. The other is swag walking away with 3 points. Very big differences as we come towards the end of the year. This is a matchup that I don't think is being given the respect in terms of the overall team standings that it could have. This is a match that we're looking at in terms of like, oh, these are 2 friends. No, we're seeing a rematch of Shannon and Winston again. And they're going to come at this like, while this might be a different tone these 2 are taking, because we're obviously going to have some background stuff coming in with the Wild Berries. This is same old for the Schmoedown this season, but this is where the stakes are at.
Yeah, I completely forgot. We've got extra stakes on it. So, yeah, so hopefully that brings a bit more drama to the whole situation. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's but I mean, having said that, to be, not to kill anything, but they are so far ahead. They're like 11 points ahead. Obviously, Swag need to catch up as much as they can, but it is quite a big gap to. So it's not that the league won't come down to this match. So yeah, they can catch ground on them. Absolutely.
Well,
they're like 11 ahead, right? So
let's not forget that after this match, they're also going to be going up against each other for an Inner Geekdom belt, and that's where we're going to see some points on the board. So there is an argument to be made that if Swag pulls this out, then that is a little bit more of a deciding factor. But that's putting the cart before the horse, right? And you don't want to do that. That's how you get dysentery, which is, again, another reason don't go outside. You'll poop to death. Don't do it.
Breaking news. Beep, 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 beep. If you go outside, you will poop to death.
Can we have a little Kyron at the bottom?
You want it?
Is that what that's called?
I'll give it to you. You want one?
Karen. Is it a Karen? Am I talking about Karen?
Wait, keep vamping. Keep vamping.
Karen. I'm just gonna keep. Boggs, how's the Mandalorian? Did you see the news that apparently the Mandalorian is getting spun off into a Boba Fett? Isn't that what that show was? What's going on there? Wasn't the Mandalorian set up as like, oh, it's not Boba Fett technically, but it's a Boba Fett show?
Wait, did you watch the first episode?
No.
Oh, you still haven't watched it? Come on.
I have a job. and it takes so much away.
Yes, but you have
a
television
energy.
as well.
I actually don't have. I have a computer.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right.
No,
Freaking 1% out here. Oh, I got television to watch my.
What you do,
television
you
on.
watch The Mandalorian, then watch our review, then watch the second episode, and watch our review, and then
I don't know if I've ever had that many hours in a day. I just don't know.
Background.
I gotta wake. If I could watch things in the background of my job, I would. Oh, I would so much.
You know what we can watch though on Tuesday nights? The Bachelorette. Guy, if you can hear the sound of my voice, get in here. So, The Bachelorette.
Sean's gonna cut us off.
Yo,
Sean's gonna find out how to slap
power here. Sean is under my control here.
He's gonna be like hacker from
physically control the button. I can remove or ban it from the Okay, he seems to be suspicious, but he realizes I am in control. I have never seen anything as dramatic as the last week and a half of this stupid show that has made a mockery of this process, a true mockery of this process. And Claire, if we find out that you and Dale were speaking before this show, we will have words on the internet. We will.
I think it was one of those. It's one of those things where it's like she was talking to the other guy before the show too, and they just full on just said that during the episode.
That's fine. Right.
It's like, hey, remember when that happened with Bachelor in Paradise, where what's his face like made out with 4 different women at Stagecoach, and that was something that we were like, hey, that's obviously bad. And now it's like, hey, you just fully talked to me
John,
like a normal person.
Can I borrow you for a second?
Oh, for sure.
I'm pretty sure that he made out with 4 different girls at Stagecoach.
And you're just like, oh yeah, cool. Nobody cares.
I just want to know
make out on the beach. That's the show. Just go make out on the beach.
I just want to know if we were replacing leads, why couldn't we have done it with Peter? Right?
Oh,
like, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to see
so much love to give.
I'm definitely happy to see Tayshia as a lead, but I would have rather seen her kick Peter. No, you know what? Tayshia works as the lead for this new Bachelorette. I think we should have had Demi take over as the lead for Peter's season. Am I right?
Did you hear that Chris Harrison is going to leave at some point to have to take his son to college, and JoJo is going to be the host?
How are we all doing out there? Is anyone
We've retained the chat. We have retained the chat. They are here for the content. I am looking at the views. No one has left. Okay, we have retained the views. All right, we have retained the views. If y'all want to start dropping now, start dropping because Tayshia. Come on now, y'all. What are we talking about here? Tayshia. What are we talking about here? She's going to come in here and save this show. This show needs some spice, some sugar, spice, everything nice. It's been awesome, and I'm ready to go. Little Chemical X, too, wouldn't do, Chemical X wouldn't do too bad either. But you know what you can do? You can head on over to the Pop Culture Universe channel. 1.
Damn right.
Subscribe. 2. Watch Boggs and I's reviews of... I'm sorry, I'm extremely distracted because Tachyon comes in with the Shaka Bra.
We finished that, man. We moved on.
It never ends. It never ends. It never ends. It never. What else can they do after they subscribe to Pop Culture Universe, Colin?
They can watch We Have the High Ground, and they can like that video. They can comment on that video. Please go over there right now. I will link it. Someone link it. Sean, go in there, link the video, put the link in the thing. I'm not turning off the video until it gets linked. It's going to be a doozy. It's awesome. Boggs and I are over there talking about Star Wars. I've never had my own Star Wars show where I can just talk about Star Wars. I've never been around somebody that can talk so much like equal Star Wars.
I'm blushing.
Like, Boggs and I just do it all the time. And it just feels natural. It's very hard to find. I can talk to maybe one other person, and it's Guyane's brother. And I can talk who's seen Clone Wars and Rebels. And that's just level of Star Wars that you just don't get to talk normally with other people.
Absolutely. We talk about breakdowns.
They're usually 14 years old too.
Easter eggs. We're talking about how it's linked to other series, other mediums in Star Wars, other genres it's touching, how we rate the show overall. So absolutely love that. Mandalorian is killing it this year, and enjoy talking all things Star Wars.
Oh, and by the way, Matt Thomas over there. Boggs, your debut. Is today at 8:45.
Oh dear.
Ooh, Pretty Brown Boggs making his debut versus the Personality.
Shout out to Chris. Matt, thanks for having us on. How about next week we'll give a little review of our matches because
we'll give you time to watch it. You can go watch my match. I may or may not make a buffoon of myself multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. But I'll tease. Watch my intro. Intro is absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. Colin was my manager as well. Enjoyed it. Great experience. Playing
Mouth my first South coming in hot.
Yeah. So yeah, enjoyed it.
Why didn't anybody tell me that was a wrestling thing? I didn't know that was a wrestling thing, and then I got shat on by real wrestling people that were like, "He's not the real Mouth of the South." I'm like, I didn't know. Somebody gave me this nickname. Somebody gave me this nickname, and then I'm getting made fun of by dudes for stuff that I didn't even know. So that's the only problem. But I'm coming back for blood, by the way. But Sean, you're over here laughing. I'm whatever. I wanted to get laid before 16. So we're the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We're the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We come here, we drop the spice with a little sugar spice.
That's
and
three
everything
different
nice.
networks. 3 different networks you can watch us on.
Look, we're
And
everywhere.
then go to twitch.tv/John Barr.
I was just, I was getting there. It was going to be a sick transition. I was going to say, and then you can hop in your X-Wing and fly over to the Stardew Valley stream that my best man over there, John Barr, does and crushes it over there on Stardew Valley. If you ain't ever watched somebody fly around and be a farmer, Stardew Valley. Fly
That's
around.
right. And if you go right now, I still have the VOD of my little Halloween show up as well, where I play a very silly, dumb character, and I say a lot of curse words at some of my friends and write some horror stories live for you on the internet. You could go do that too, even.
One thing I'm hoping maybe if John would like to do maybe sometime this weekend, World of Warcraft is free. We could do a little co-stream. It's free.
Oh, dude, I got to figure that out. I tried downloading it, and my computer was just like, nah, it couldn't happen. And I was like, what do you mean?
On, my 2012 MacBook Pro ran it. Come on, be a man.
It's not that my computer can't run it. It's that it won't even download the file. Do you understand? I can't even get the file on there. If I can figure it out, we'll make it happen.
All right. That's it, folks. You got The Mandalorian to watch this weekend. You got a bunch of other stuff to watch this weekend. But we're happy you spent this time with us. We really appreciate it. The Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We do all we can to make sure the Schmoedown is as schmoey as it possibly can be in or out of the matches. For John, where can they find you?
At John Barr Tweets on Twitter and Instagram. And then the Twitch I mentioned already.
And Boggs, where can they find you?
You can catch us at this channel, the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. You can don't bother following me on Twitter. Don't forget that.
Come on,
it's not interesting enough.
Give the people what
I'm
they
not on Twitter
want.
enough. Follow us at
Pretty Brown Boggs. Hey,
well,
Pretty Brown Boggs. Hey,
nice.
Pretty Brown Boggs. Hey,
Keep singing.
Pretty Brown Boggs. Hey.
The Pop Culture Universe
This
YouTube channel.
right here is my
give us a watch.
Boggs.
And my Fan League match on the Really Trivia Showdown League YouTube page.
30 minutes.
Yeah, shout out to them. And that should be fun. And I'll talk about it next week, give my review on it and stuff and how that went. But I had fun. And follow us on TUSS Pod. Like, comment, share, etc. Do all the good stuff. And we'll see you next week for our breakdown and preview of the pay-per-view Throwdown match.
You can find me at _C Morris wherever Colin Morrises are sold on the internet. And how about let's get a little bit of that Manchester City love. Take down Liverpool this week. Let's go. Big match. Big match. Maybe Boggs and I will hop in for a little soccer talk sometime next week on a new show coming your way. Possibly. Let's go. That'll do it for the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. For John, for Boggs, I'm Colin. And we'll see you next time.
All right. So apparently next week I get off Friday at